All right, good morning, class. We are going to be doing our notes today over the eukaryotic cell structure. These are your notes in your foldable from last time. You should have the timeline and the notes over the discovery of cells. That should be on page 23 and 24. So now we're going to turn to page 25 and 26, and your notes are going to go on page 26. Okay, you're going to set up Cornell notes with the column here down the side and label it notes. Then you're going to write the essential question, which is what two organelles do plant cells have that animal cells do not? So there's two things that plant cells have that animal cells do not. Okay? Then you're going to cut out your levels of organization strip, and you are going to highlight we are at organelle and cell. Those are the two things we're talking about today. Okay, your title is the eukaryotic cell structure, and then down here in parentheses, these are the four kingdoms that consist of eukaryotic cells. If you don't remember, kingdoms are the way that we classify life so that we can study it more easily and understand it. Okay, so AKA, also known as, there's protists, which are microscopic, fungi, which are like mushrooms, plants, which you should know, and then animals, which is you. Those are the four kingdoms that have eukaryotic cells. We're going to be drawing this chart. You're going to label, so you have three columns. This column's label is function. So this is what they do, what their purpose is. Okay, this column is going to be the name of the organelle, what it's called, and then this column is going to be the description of what it does or is. Okay, I've gone ahead and filled in the function and the organelle names in the first description, so if you want to pause here and just go ahead and copy, you can do that. When you're done, unpause and don't fast forward so we can go through the definitions, because it's really, that's all that this is. Okay, so you've got all this. If you don't have highlighters that are different colors and you would like to use them, you can bring your notebook up to my desk, and I've got different colored highlighters up here that you can just highlight it real quick at my desk and then go back. Okay, so cell wall is a rigid wall outside of the plasma membrane that gives extra support. Okay, so the plasma membrane is the gooey one that's in all cells, but we are going to be learning about that more in depth later. So right now we're only going to do cell wall. Cell wall is the crunchy thing on the outside of the plant cells that give it extra support, and animals do not have a cell wall. If it has a cell wall, it cannot be an animal. All right, the nucleus. The nucleus directs activity of cell organelles, and it stores our genetic information, which is our DNA. The instructions for you, how to be you, are in the nucleus of every single one of your cells. There's not just one, there's trillions. Okay, so the nuclear envelope, this is all one word. Okay, this is the membrane. That surrounds the nucleus. Okay, so the nucleus is like your house where you live, and the nuclear envelope would be like the bricks that your house is made out of. Chromatin are what we call the strands of DNA in the nucleus. Not to be confused with chromosomes that are condensed chromatin. That's not confusing at all. So condensed means put together like compactly or very tightly. So our chromatin are like these strands. They're just kind of floating around in your nucleus. Yeah. So then at some point they need to be replicated, and that's going to be a lot of stuff in the nucleus. So it tries to organize it. And the way that it organizes it is it takes like a protein, like if this was a protein, and it takes your chromatin and it winds it around it like this. So now, instead of floating around all loose and like spaghetti, it's got these nice little bundles that sit in your nucleus, and this is what a chromosome is. Okay, so when it's all, goodness, when it's all like loose and crazy like spaghetti, that's chromatin. And then when it gets wrapped around that protein to make it nice and organized, it gets really thick looking, and it's called chromosomes. Okay, so chromatin, chromosomes. All right, the nucleolus. The nucleolus is responsible for making ribosomes in the nucleus. Ribosomes are extremely important because ribosomes are where proteins are made. Yay! We love proteins. Proteins are our friends. So when we were assembling our beads, making those proteins, you guys were being ribosomes. Congratulations. All right, and so the cytoplasm is thick fluid outside the nucleus. Okay, so basically it's like the goo inside the cell where everything else sits. All right, so endoplasmic reticulum, this is all one word. There are two different kinds. There are smooth and rough. Okay, so this is where lipids for the membrane are made. So those special phospholipids that make up our plasma membranes, this is where they are made. And excuse me, they are also make or assemble proteins. Okay, so the reason that it's called rough endoplasmic reticulum is because it has ribosomes are in it, and the ribosomes make proteins. So the rough endoplasmic reticulum, or rough ER, is where proteins are made, and then the smooth is where the lipids for the membranes are made. So very important to your cell. You would not be alive if you didn't have this. Okay, so next we've got the Golgi apparatus, which is, this is also one word. It also can be referred to as a Golgi body. So if you see Golgi body or Golgi apparatus, those two are the same thing. If you just see the word Golgi, ignore whatever is at the end and you'll know. So just Golgi is what you need to remember. Okay? So this sorts and packages proteins to be shipped out of the cell. Okay, so it's kind of like a mailbox store or the post office where it has things in boxes, so they sort them and they're getting ready to send them out to where they need to go. In your body, those are proteins. So if you're a pancreas cell, you are making the protein insulin. So you're going to make an insulin protein and then you have to get it out of the cell somehow. So you're going to use the Golgi apparatus, which is kind of like the post office. All right, next we have a vacuole, which is basically just used for storage. It stores things like food or enzymes, and sometimes water. Plants have one big one and animals have lots of smaller ones. Lysosome. So a lysosome removes water via enzymes. Good thing we learned about lipids and proteins and enzymes. So a lysosome, basically it controls how much water is in your cell. You need something to control it. If you have too much water in your cell, that's bad. If you don't have enough water in your cell, that is also bad. So this maintains homeostasis through the use of enzymes to remove water. Okay, look at all those words that I just said. Mitochondria. Well, for long-standing tradition, it's the powerhouse of the cell. Okay? It's where we get our energy. It's like a battery. They're tiny little batteries in our cells that use sugar to give us energy. All right, and the chloroplasts are only in plants, and they are responsible for photosynthesis. Okay, so chloroplasts only in plants, and they are the organelle where photosynthesis takes place. We cannot photosynthesize because we do not have chloroplasts. All right, so next we've got in the support and locomotion. If you don't know what locomotion means, that means movement, how it moves. So these are how cells stay together and how they move. The cytoskeleton is a network of protein filaments that keep cells shape. Okay, so a filament is like a very long and thin piece of string. Like if you were looking at this, these tiny little pieces right here would be kind of similar to a filament. They're very small and just small. Sorry. They help provide structure for the cell to make sure that you're not just like being a loosey-goosey gob all over the place. Centrioles are made of microtubules, and those microtubules, which are like small tubes, they do mitosis, or they don't do it, they help with mitosis. That's really the only thing that they do, is they're active during mitosis, which we will also learn about. All right, cilia. So a cilia is small hairs on the outside of a cell that help move. Okay, so if you have a cell, these are usually only in our one-celled organisms. If you have this little one-celled organism, it has these little hairs on the outside and they wiggle, and that's how the cell moves. They're like little wavy hair things. I say a flagella is different. This is a long whip-like projection. Okay, you can have one or two, and it's for movement. Okay, so everyone's favorite plushie here is Spermy. Spermy, who is injured and will be returning soon, has a tail. This tail is a flagella. That's how the little cell moves around. You can also have a cell that has two flagella, and they're like, you know, little tails, and they flip around and then they move. All right. So here we have boundary, which is things getting in and out, or what's surrounding the cell. The nucleus and cell control, which is like the